Hi, I'm Gabby, and welcome to Gabbing with Gabi. In this series, we sit down with fellow wet on wet oil painters who brought their knowledge and talent to the world via the internet. It's a great opportunity for them to put down their paintbrushes and to talk a little bit more about themselves. And it's also a great chance for all of us to get to know them a little bit better. Our guest today is James. James, want to introduce yourself?
My name is James Barlage. I'm 37 years old, and I'm from Chillicothe, Ohio.
And thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm definitely excited to be here.
Yes, happy to have you. Let's talk right away about what you paint with. What do you like to paint with?
I like to paint with oils in the wet on wet technique.
Awesome. And anything you prefer to paint?
I prefer to paint landscapes.
Have you ever painted anything else?
I have painted some horses. I have done some abstract things, but I always land back on landscapes and seascapes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I hear you. When did you start oil painting?
I started oil painting, it will be 3 years in June, so a couple of years ago. When I was a kid, about 6 or 7 years old, my dad bought me a couple like Bob Ross master sets, and I always wanted to paint wet on wet like him, but finally during the pandemic, I started to learn.
Yeah, nothing better to do.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Who inspires you?
Who inspires me? So I think ultimately Bob Ross. I think he brought us all in, Bob and Bill. I would say right now on YouTube, the people I watch the most would be Kevin Hill, Andrew Tischler, and I think the first person that I started watching other than Bob was Happy Little Landscapes that became Paint with Josh. So I would say them right now.
Do you have any artists that are like classical artists, artists that are long dead that you really like enjoy as artists?
I've just recently been kind of searching out some of that stuff. I would say Monet, and people always say Van Gogh with wet on wet, but he more so just like globbed paint on there and solid strokes, Everything became wet after his first stroke project because there's so much paint, which is awesome,
Yeah, that is awesome. I like Monet as well. And actually Monet, I think, did sort of wet on wet-ish stuff.
Yeah, did and yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything specifically that you love to paint, like pine trees or mountains or anything?
I think clouds right now and skies. I think that's what I'm doing probably the best at right now. Okay. That changes and ebbs and flows, but I would say clouds right now.
Was there anything that was particularly easy when you first started?
I would say mountains came pretty easy. Palette knife stuff came pretty easy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anything that was specifically difficult for you?
Honestly, trees and bushes, I would say. I had the most trouble because starting off and thinning down your paint and trying to do it like Bob did, you really have to glob a lot of paint on there. After I started controlling the amount of paint that I put on the canvas, whenever I do the first initial block in and not thinning down my paint for my highlights, trying not to get everything sloppy on the canvas, So once I started doing that, bushes and stuff came a lot easier. They're getting easier, but that's probably what I have the most trouble with right now.
And having the right brushes for it, I think, is really difficult.
Yeah. Finding out what works for you. Yeah, sure.
Yes, absolutely. I don't like doing bushes either, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. They're a pain in the butt, and I use like a lot of different like mop brushes and stuff to, kind of play with it. But getting them to look differently, each of them, I think is difficult.
Right. Yeah, going from a 1-inch to a filbert for me, that helped me a lot with bushes for sure.
I love filbert brushes. They're my favorite.
Yeah, definitely.
What's your favorite brush, actually, if you had to pick a brush?
A filbert.
Yeah.
I could almost do a whole painting, especially a whole underpainting, or the first layer.
Yeah. Yeah, I love filberts. They're great. Let's see. How long before you sort of felt comfortable oil painting?
I would say 100 paintings. I did probably 100 paintings the first year and a half, I would say. So within the last year or so. Comfortable at certain things and still trying to stretch myself in other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're always learning.
Yes.
How many pieces do you think you've done now?
I would say I am close to 300. Yeah.
So about 100 a year then.
About 100 a year. Yeah.
So about one every 3 days. Do you usually paint one picture in one sitting?
Right now, I try to paint 3 paintings a week. So usually I'll paint 1 on Friday and 2 on Saturday.
Nice.
Work schedule. That's the only time I can really paint.
How do you kind of make time for it? Because sometimes that's difficult.
It really is prioritizing time. The thing that I do is wake up early before my family gets up on the weekends on my days off and try to get my quiet time with my coffee and just, soak it all in while I can.
What do you do in the real world for work?
I am a steel worker. I actually make springs that go on trains.
Wow.
So red box cars and stuff like that. We manufacture the springs for pretty much the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
cool. Yeah.
Whenever you're sitting at a railroad and you're watching trains go by, do you think, I bet those springs came from us?
There's a good chance that they probably did. Yeah. For sure.
I worked at a place where we made something for a specific product, and every time I'd see it in the grocery store, I'm like, bet those came out of our plant.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun. Let's see. I sort of lost myself in these questions. Do you sell your work?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything specific that's sort of successful for you there?
Not really. It all seems so hit and miss. You think you'll think that you start to have it figured out, and then start to paint more of this, trying to sell some paintings, and I don't. There's real. Yeah. You tell me. I don't know.
Do you sell the bulk of your stuff sort of in person or online?
Online. Although I have done one art show, and we did really good there. Actually, it's coming up again here at the end of the month. We're going to do it for the second time. It was super cool too. We set up and done live paintings and all that during the show and sold work. It was really fun. Yeah.
Did you have somebody with you to help you kind of manage that part of it?
The family, they all came, my wife and my kids, and hung out and helped customers and kind of mingled with everybody. It was really cool. And we had friends set up in different booths around us. So it was, it was definitely a cool vibe.
Yeah. It's helpful to have somebody, because it really does help if you paint when you're selling.
Oh, for sure.
But to have somebody like as an assistant to help people, buy or whatever, that's helpful.
Last year, my daughter Sarai, she kind of took the lead and took charge and wanted to take people's money and give out paintings and stuff. It was awesome.
Yeah. Did she try to take credit for any of your work?
No, but she says that she wants to set out a piece and try to sell it this year, a piece of her artwork, low painting she paints.
That's awesome.
She actually followed along with me. I wish I had the painting close. She followed along, step by step one day, and she painted the most beautiful painting. It was absolutely awesome.
Oh, cool. Don't sell that one.
No, definitely not. I got it over there with the keep pile.
Yes, absolutely. That's where it needs to be. That way you'll always have her first piece.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Why did you decide to start a YouTube channel?
I decided to start a YouTube channel to show people the things that I wish that I would have been taught when I first started painting, little shortcut, because there's even stuff that Bob does. He'll dip his brush in paint thinner real quick and not say it, not express it. And you don't notice him do it, but little stuff like that, just little techniques of how to make painting easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like, why should we have to reinvent the wheel to learn how to oil paint?
Right. Yeah. For sure.
Let's see. What do you wish you had known when you first started?
How to paint bushes. How to control paint. I think, the consistency of it, how much of it's on the canvas. Because that's a big deal. It really is. Trying to smush paint on top of other paint. At first, it's super messy. So I think I wish I would have known how to control paint for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you happen to still have your first piece that you painted?
I do, actually. You want to see it?
Sure, yeah, grab it.
Hold on. I think it's right over here. So there's the first one.
I've done that painting, yeah.
Yeah, it's Bob's, I think, Mountain Summit or something like that. It comes in the Bob Ross Master set. It has like the little tutorial of how to go through and do it. So that's what I come up with from that.
Okay.
And then this one's really inspired by Kevin Hill. It's based after his classic mountain scene. So that's the more recent one, the progression of things.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I got to tell you, your first painting looks a whole lot better than mine did.
Really? You ever see Josh's?
I haven't, no.
Man, it's amazing how good his first one was. It was, but it's weird to see people develop into their styles.
Yeah.
Like I've seen him pretty much from the beginning of his painting, but his first painting looks like you can tell it's a Josh painting. And that's kind of where I feel that I am with oil painting, just trying to find my style, you know? Yeah.
I think
How
it's
long have you been painting for?
What's that?
How long have you been painting for?
I started painting in March of 2021, so I've been painting less than you have.
Oh yeah, but right around. Yeah, cool.
But I painted a few more pieces than you have. I'm at about 1,400 pieces at this point.
What size do you normally paint?
Usually 16 by 20s, but I've done, up to like 36 by 40 or something like that. And I've done really, really little ones too. So.
Yeah.
What do you usually
16 by 20 and then was doing 18 by 24 for a while, but I've landed on 11 by 14. I really like doing kind of the smaller size.
Yeah, I do some smaller stuff, but I usually don't bring that with to sell it because people usually want, bigger pieces.
Really?
So, yeah. So most of my stuff I do is 16 by 20s. Most of it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's economical.
Yeah, for sure.
When you've painted 1,400 pictures, it's like you have to be cheap.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Let's see, where were we at? Do you have any advice for anybody just getting started?
Just paint. Put paint on canvas. I think practice, yeah. Repetition, finding out what works for you, what doesn't.
Do you do, or have you done when you first started, did you do any sort of exercises that weren't, like on a picture?
If I would mess a painting up, so say classic mountain scene, mess up the pine trees. If I would mess up the pine trees on that painting, I would scrape off everything and use that canvas just to practice pine trees over and over and over. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that that's beneficial?
Yes and no, because finding out how it fits within the painting too means a lot. Yeah, just as much as being able to paint it, I would say. I don't know. Probably, yeah. It would probably be beneficial to paint the same thing over and over and over and practice that way. I would say so.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Do you have other hobbies?
I can play music. I play guitar. Yeah, but since I've started painting, I haven't really played a whole lot. There's not a lot of free time. Painting takes up a lot of my free time.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to ask you a question before that. Did you ever have any education in art?
No, I did not. Other than just like the basic art that you got to take in high school and college classes, stuff like that.
Is art something that kind of runs in your family, or are you kind of a lone wolf there?
Yeah, not so much in the generations before us, but I have cousins that are real artistic. My oldest cousin on the Barlage side actually is like a conductor in orchestras and stuff like that. That's what he does. He plays the French horn and yeah. And then there's a couple other people that play music in my family and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And how long have you been playing guitar?
I started playing guitar when I was 11 years old, so 26 years, something like that.
Did you have training in that, or did you just kind of pick it up?
Kind of picked it up, and majoritively, yeah, playing by ear and learning scales and stuff like that. Same way with painting too. I've never taken any classes other than watching somebody on the internet. Kind of way I figured out playing guitar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Let's see. What do you think your art future looks like?
Painting paintings, just doing the deal. I wish I would have found painting and art earlier in life. I really do. I would have done this the whole time if I'd known that it brought me so much joy, really.
Do you have a favorite brand of paint?
I do. I really like Gamblin 1980 paint. I like Robert Gamblin. I've listened to a few podcasts with him on it talking about painting, and he's real passionate about what he does, and it's made in the U.S. So yeah, I really love Gamblin paints.
Yeah. I believe it's the Gamblin company. They have something called Torrid Gray. Have you ever heard of it?
Is it where they use the pigment from their dust? Yeah, from their dust collectors and stuff like that. Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah. I got a bunch of used oil paint. I buy most of it used, and I got some tubes of it, and that's when I learned about it. And I've almost always been a Gamsol user, so I like the Gamblin company in general. But I learned about that with the air ducts and the Torrid Gray, and I really like the Gamblin company too.
I do too. I really do. Nothing against Winsor, Newton, or Winton, or anything like that, but it's what I prefer. Yeah.
And it's about the same price too. It
really is.
Yeah.
Tubes are 150 mils instead of 200,
Mhm.
like if you bought Bob Ross paint, but yeah, it's about the same price point.
Yeah. Do you think that Gamblin, the 1980, do you think it's a little bit softer, or do you think it's still firm enough?
Softer than like Bob Ross paints?
Yeah.
I think some colors probably are,
Mhm.
yellow, but Bob Ross Cad Yellow is kind of more runny than the other colors too. So I would say it's about the same, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I think it's good to hear from people who actually get their hands in it what
Sure.
certain brands of paint really feel like. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's some colors that the oil separates more than others, it seems like
Yeah.
the Pharaohs and stuff like that. But yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you have a favorite brush?
Like brand of brush or style of brush?
Brand.
So I would say right now, Rosemary and Co. I ordered some brushes from them. They were very reasonably priced, and even though they came from England, it only took me like a week to get the product. I just got my first order of them, but I love them. I really do. Yeah.
Are they a natural or a synthetic?
They have both. So, I don't have the one up here, but so I use Kevin Hill brushes,
Okay.
or was using, or do use, however. And the Rosemary and Co. brushes are just like these and a little cheaper. Yeah, they're very similar to those and about the same price point.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I got I've been experimenting with these dagger brushes too, which is awesome.
Yeah, they're kind of fun, aren't they?
They really are. Yeah, these are the Tish daggers by Rosemary and Co. And that's why I placed the first order, because I wanted these brushes, but then I was like, oh, I need a couple filberts and I need a flat and da 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 da. So I made a full order, and it's amazing. These almost replace a fan brush for a lot of things, especially like if you use the corner of the fan to make grasses and stuff like that. There's a lot more control with these daggers.
Yeah. And is that a synthetic? That looks like a stiffer bristle.
This is a natural bristle, just like the filberts or fans, that wet on wet painters use.
Right, like a hog hair bristle.
Yeah, like a hog hair. I think they're called chunking sometimes or whatever. Yes.
I've never used a dagger made out of natural. All my daggers are synthetic.
I know, and it is so cool. I was watching a tutorial or a YouTube video of his, and some of the stuff he was doing with this, I was like, wow, it's real diverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll have to check those out.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Okay, let's see. What does painting mean to you?
Painting means a lot to me. It's a good way to express yourself. It's a good way to spend time, It means a lot. And the painting community that we have right now kind of means a lot too. It's awesome seeing so many people gather together and give people advice and helping newbies and stuff like that. I would say that community means as much to me as probably painting itself, honestly.
And how long have you sort of been kind of interacting with the online community?
I would say if I started painting in June of 20, I would say about June of 21. Yeah.
Awesome. I actually did not start. I wasn't in any groups or anything like online until after I made my channel.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been really fun to kind of get to talk to other artists and interact with them and
for sure
people. So
yeah, absolutely. It's really cool, and everybody's like helpful. Nobody is uptight and won't tell you how to do this or what. Everybody's very, very helpful.
Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of the difference between sort of some traditional art styles and sort of the wet, because I think that's what Bob kind of put forward,
yes.
That anybody can do it, and that, it doesn't have to be a garden secret, how to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, because I don't know if you're part of any of like traditional painting groups.
Just one.
Yeah, it's a little more shut lip or hush,
Yeah, absolutely. Some really, really good artists, some really good work.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yes.
And I think that's why I'm part of that, just so that I can see some of the work that some people do, because
absolutely,
there's some really good artists out there.
Have you ever done anything like that where you instead of putting liquid white on the canvas, you use the medium to thin your paint and then paint in a traditional style like that? Or have you always done wet on wet?
Yeah, I don't do a whole lot of traditional anything.
Really?
I do everything in this world my way. It does not matter what it is. Everything is done my way.
That's the beautiful thing about painting, though.
Yeah.
Figure out what works for you and go with it.
Yeah. Yep. So sometimes I completely dry canvas. I just did another picture of Monument Valley, Utah. I paint a lot of Utah because my dad liked Utah. And so I painted that last night, completely dry canvas. Sometimes I'll take my Gamsol and I'll get the whole canvas wet just with Gamsol, and then I'll paint into it. Sometimes I'll do wet on wet. Every now and again, I'll do like a liquid clear, but I don't have any real, like magic white or liquid white or whatever you call it. I make my own. Yeah.
But you use different mediums and stuff like that?
Yeah, I play around with it a little bit, and I think that's part of the progression of painting in general is that, you kind of start in one place and then just kind of build on, and do what works.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I had to figure out a lot of stuff in the process because I tried to take shortcuts and stuff to begin with, and they were disastrous. And so you learn what works and what doesn't work.
Right, for sure. For sure.
Some bonus questions.
Okay.
Question number 1. If you could use only one color of paint besides black and white for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
If you get black and white, I would choose red, because if you had an ivory black, you could almost get blue shades out of that, and it would be another primary you could use. So, or that would be like, yeah, your primary. So I would say red for sure.
Yeah, that's a good answer. And I think it's a good answer to have like a primary, because you could get some browns and stuff out of that too if you did it right.
Or like you think about the Zorn palette, it was black, yellow, ochre, and red and white. Yeah, so he painted his masterpieces with those 4 colors. Red or yellow ochre, for sure.
Yeah, good answer. Good answer. Question number 2. Why do you bring comedy and sarcasm into your videos?
Probably because that's who I am, or how I am, rather.
Yeah.
Just try to be myself and show people how to paint.
Yeah, it comes through. I enjoy it. I like watching your videos because you crack me up. So
I appreciate that.
Question number 3. What is the biggest painting disaster you've ever had?
Oh, there's been a lot of them. When I first started painting, I had a spot set up to where the kids could paint and everything. And it was all very close together where I painted and they painted. And I had this mountain painting that I was so proud of. And it was like, so I posted it online. Somebody already wanted to buy it and all this. And my son went down and beat the devil out of his brush and slung black paint all over it. So, that one still hurts. Even 2 years later, that one still hurts.
And you weren't able to go in and fix it?
It was acrylic on top of oil. And
oh, interesting. Yeah. That would be bad.
It was at the time, my skill level at the time, it was unfixable for sure. Yeah.
Oh.
I wish I'd have kept it though.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I've actually done that with my own paintings, but not getting acrylic on them, but just getting like splatters of oil paint. And then I'm like, no, but usually I can fix them. So,
right, so I store my finished paintings way away from my paint area now.
Good. That's a smart idea. Oh, that's funny. Do you have any sort of final thoughts as we wrap this up?
My final thoughts is, if somebody comes across this and wants to start oil painting, start oil painting. I think that anybody can do it, really. Like when Bob said that, I don't think he was lying. I think anybody could start painting, and if they dedicate themselves to it, they can be good.
Do you think it would be fair to say though that it's easier for some people and not as easy for others?
Yes, for sure. For sure. I see like Dylan, he's on painting like 15, and his 15th painting looks better than mine like 200th painting. It's coming so easy for that dude, man. It's so cool. Yeah,
he is really talented. I agree. I've done a lot of like individual painting lessons with people, and there's some people that it's like it's a struggle, right. And other people it's like, wow, you did that better than I did.
Yeah, for sure. It's awesome, and it's cool to see that come out in people,
Yeah, absolutely. Where can people find you?
So on all social media platforms, it is James Barlage Studios is the handle. So like youtube.com/James Barlage Studios, facebook.com/James Barlage Studios.
Awesome. And
Instagram and TikTok too. All is James Barlage Studios.
Awesome. Yeah, and I will have that stuff in the descriptions. I think that's it for our interview. Thank you very much for coming on. It's been fun. It's been informative.
It's been fun.
Okay, guys, I think that's it for our interview today. If you guys have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section of the video. and we'll do our best to address them. I'm Gabi. This is James. Make sure that you guys go to his page, that you guys like, you subscribe, you share, hit him up. He is a lot of fun to watch. So if you're looking for a little comedy relief, that's where you find it. Until next time, guys, I really do hope that you guys fall in love with oil painting just as much as we have. Bye, guys.
Bye. See y'all later.